My name is Charlene Lafrenie, and I'm from Thompson, Manitoba. The first way I was engaged with Fem NorthNet was in my role as the Executive Director of the Thompson Neighborhood Renewal Corporation, which I'm no longer, but I'm still connected. And in that role, I became the co-lead for the Thompson team, and also agreed to be a part of a research theme, community engagement, and governance. So my current role is as a co-lead with that research theme and as a team member of the Thompson team. Sometimes we feel like leaders, and sometimes we feel like students, and so I just say that. But I guess my role in the community as a leader is officially as an elected leader. But prior to that, I guess I had some leadership qualities that drove me to being that. And I guess my first thoughts would be that the opportunity is there in the North. And so if you embrace the opportunities that are there, you have the ability to become in leadership positions, whether it's elected or within nonprofit organization or the private sector. Those opportunities come to us at a younger age. So I think part of being a Northern leader is being grateful for the opportunities that we get, and to be a part of sometimes those high-level discussions that, friends of mine in the South who taken similar paths just haven't been able to be a part of. So, gratitude.
Great. How would you describe your leadership style?
I feel like I am like a consensus builder, and to me it's important that we don't get caught up in process, that the process supports the work that we're doing. So, example, in my role, I chair a lot of meetings, or I have that role of facilitating a discussion or coming up with a way, just listening to everybody and trying to come up with a way that will fit everybody's perspectives and honor them, so the walls don't go up and the defenses don't go up. At the same time as balancing, at times your opinions as a leader aren't accepted by everybody. So knowing when and where to perhaps be more assertive or more aggressive. And I think that just, for me, has been age, experience, and the opportunities that I've had. So to me, it's about bringing everybody together, so like a peacemaking or consensus style. I'm for me, in the female energy right now, and so I'm going to stick with, or I feel like, first speak to my grandmas and my mom, who my grandmas were working women. They had jobs and wages and took care of their families, had big families, 16 and 5. So just seeing that in the early 1900s, that they became, or mid, I guess, by the time they were working, were working women, is very inspirational. And we have a matriarchal family, and so I think I learned a lot of how to speak up and how to use my voice. And my parents, I think, allowed me that space to learn as a young person. So, pushing them to the limits, or every time I learned something, sharing it with them, and them just giving me the space to learn and either be really strong in it or really mad at it or really angry. And there was just a supportive environment. And then I think it's just like living in the North, seeing what women's, the resiliency that is required to take advantage of those opportunities. And that to me is inspiring. And I think right now too is being in my home community is just, whether it's, friends, colleagues, I'm just surrounded by a lot of strong women. So I've learned and taught equally in all my relationships. So I feel inspired and I guess mentored in that way. a 0% vacancy rate in Thompson for 10 years. And that creates a real disparity in terms of the people who are living there. And the people who are first impacted by that is often Aboriginal people and women, and which ties into, having, 1,000 seats short in childcare. People not being able to access the employment opportunities that are there because of childcare. So thinking that way, and then thinking of how the residential school system has impacted our region, and seeing and feeling the intergenerational effects of that system. And with that, I collectively mean colonial policy. I feel like that's something that as a country we're learning collectively about right now. But I think it's all the policies, the destruction of the ceremonies, the language. I think it's going to be ceremony and spirituality that will help our region and our people heal. And so I guess I'll leave it at that. I think that's what comes to mind right now. I think connected with that are the solutions, and that's the need for education. For me, I first got elected into politics when I was 29. Ran my campaign, it was 29, almost 30, and I didn't even at that point in my life understand the challenges that would come to me being an elected woman leader. And I prepared myself mentally, spiritually, emotionally for what may happen as an Aboriginal person, and I needed to prepare because I did encounter those things, but I wasn't prepared for the gender inequality, and I knew it existed, but I have never felt it on that level. So it's the most subtle things my ears hear now, whether it's referencing a workforce as manpower. We had our Economic Development Corporation vote down a gender-neutral constitution bylaws. So when those things seem like that wouldn't be a part of a conversation in the 2000s. Like, it just doesn't, like, if somebody would have asked me that when I was a lot younger, I would have thought that was not true, or that stuff didn't happen. I always thought it was, like, maybe in the bigger arenas. And so to feel it locally was tough. And I guess trying to, like, put your finger on what the issues are is hard. It's like being able to point out racism, like, it's so subtle, but it happens so often. I had a new person start at the city and kind of say to me, I know you're into soft things, but I'm into hard things and getting things done. And I had to tap that man back and tell him he didn't know who I was. And that doesn't mean I'm not into the soft issues, but it also doesn't mean I'm not into, caring about whether our roads have potholes, or what kind of waste collection system we have, or what our water, healthy drinking water, in terms of the underground infrastructure required. So all of that is of interest and is of importance. So the assumptions that people make about you when you come into leadership, I think the positive or the hope attached to that is, if you stick with it and you stay consistent, people might not always like you or like the choices that you make or the decisions that you make, but in that consistency there can be respect developed. And it's hard to hear that as a young person, that takes time to develop, for people to see that, because it's not fair. Some people get it right off the hop, like, don't have to do nothing. And so, but if we stick to it, I think, like, the benefits are really awesome. Yeah. So many things drive me, I guess, and that's why I'm engaged. But what I guess inspires me is to, I don't know. That's a really, it's tough to pinpoint, but I guess my desire for, a healthy Mother Earth, healthy relationships, peaceful environments, and, breaking down stereotypes and challenging people's thinking patterns, it kind of excites me. So when you get to see people change, or people be open, or for me to learn something new, from people, like, that's really exciting. I find sometimes in our work lives, it's like we hear a lot of the same things, and so, but we always get these aha moments, and we always run into these people that either, stick around for a really long time, or people who just, come in, spark something inside, and you don't see them again, but so I think it's a wide range of all those experiences. I mean, just relating it right back to being here in Happy Valley Goose Bay, and just being around all these women, and for me, I think I always understood our differences, but I didn't really understand all the common themes and common issues, and I think that too is exciting and empowering, to be around people who are doing the same things in different regions that are so similar to the way we live, or to the traditions that exist, and that's kind of what keeps you going, seeing the success, and seeing what needs to still be done. Wow. I like to be pushy. In any way I can. Maybe you should speak to it. Just kidding. For me, I guess in lots of ways. Like, to me, I know sometimes when I'm not sure about things that I've said, or things that I've heard, or whatever, when I hear validation from people, when they come up to me, or they share something with me, how maybe I've inspired them, or something they learned from how I said something differently, like that feels good too. So I like to try to do that to the women in my life, to the women in my work world. And I don't know, where I am at in my life. A lot of my colleagues are females, especially like when I think of the Thompson Urban Aboriginal Strategy, or Fem NorthNet, or I do have a lot of opportunities to work with males too, but there's just abundance of opportunity to be around young women and old women, and I think I just always try to be inclusive, engage people, explain things, maybe if I'm privy to different information, or to learning something differently, sharing that. And because of the different tables that I get to sit at, I can see the links that need to be made, and where people need to be in, and I feel like I'm not comfortable holding something by myself. I never have been, so I also reach out, so that the load isn't, that I don't feel like I own it. So I guess part of my approach too is always to systemize things, to try and build it into the system, so it becomes systemic change, and that's so that people can become a part of it, or can be engaged. And I'm sure I do other things too. When you're asked these questions in a research way, it really gets you reflecting and thinking about things differently, because it's often just what you do. So, when these videos are going on, I want to talk to the entire Thompson team, because I know that they're leaders, and I know what they have to offer. So if we can share our story with the world, that's going to help our community, it's going to help them, and it's going to help women. So, just trying to share whatever I can. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't, but there's always a seed planted, or something that people can learn from, or grow from, or I can learn from or grow from. So just trying to reach out when my heart tells me to, following my intuition. And maybe that's something that I should speak to. I don't know where it fits in the list of questions, but I feel like whenever I've went against my intuition, I've been wrong. And sometimes I think, for me anyways, sometimes I feel like I might be being judgmental. So I try to push away what my gut is telling me, just to come around and learn that maybe I should have been listening to that. And so when I do listen, because I do, it always has a positive outcome or a successful outcome for me or the people around me. So I think it's really important as people to follow our intuition, but especially as women, because of my connections with women, the conversations with women bring up intuition. So I think it's something we need to honor in our leadership roles.
That's great. Well, thank you, Charlene, for doing this interview.